Welcome to the Nerds Against Normality podcast. I'm Stacey Bowles, and I like to write my name on the feet of everyone who attends this podcast recording. He loves playing with his toy Woody. I'm here with Harry Bowles.
Hiya.
And this week, much like Wheezy the Penguin, we've left our co-host Ben covered in dust on a shelf somewhere, so we have a special guest here with us. He's our shiny new toy that we can't wait to play with. It's Martin Whiskin.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Thanks for
Excited
coming.
to have you.
I'm a long-time listener, first-time guest. And yeah, I said before, and it was really surreal, and hearing the intro there live was incredible. I feel privileged.
Nailed it first time.
Yeah, it doesn't normally go that smoothly, to be fair.
So just before we get to know Martin a little bit better, our co-host Ben couldn't be with us today, so he's left us a voice note.
Hi guys, it's Ben here from Nerds Against Normality. I'm having to speak quite low at the moment because I'm just in the queue for the welfare check. Obviously the message, while very funny, backfired horribly, and now we're in a bit of a pickle because I was seen as unprofessional, and now I've been sacked, not just from the film I'm on, but just the entire industry. I went to the High Council of Filmies, and they've stripped me of my scarf, my gun, we get a gun, and just basically any right to go into any cinema chain to enjoy any film. So it was a good joke, but yeah, it's had some real repercussions.
Godspeed, Ben. Godspeed. In case the listeners are wondering, we've just recorded this episode after the release of the Brutalist review, where Ben had to send a lovely send-to-all to all of his phone contacts. So go back and listen to that if you haven't already. But Martin, hi, welcome. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you very much. I am a voice actor by trade. Do I have to say my age? Do we do that? Or is that...
You don't have to.
And I'm from just
25.
down the road. Yes, minus a couple. It's 23. And I was thinking about this beforehand, and I think I love the idea of being a nerd, but I've never quite reached nerd status.
You've been too cool.
Well, no, not even that. I'm just a bit nothingy, I think.
That's so much worse.
But I've got I love Star Wars t-shirts from cartoons when I was younger. I've got all that stuff. But quite often someone will come up to me and say, I love your t-shirt with such and such a character name. I'll say, well, who's that? And I'll say, oh, the one on your t-shirt. So it's things like that where I'm not quite, I want to be, but I'm not there.
Entry-level nerd.
Yeah, basically.
So what's the nerdiest thing that you're into?
Now, I heard an episode a couple of weeks ago where the nerdiest thing your other special guest was into, I forget his name now, was wrestling.
Yes.
And I think if I had to pick one, I'd probably say the same thing, but I don't watch it anymore. But when I was growing up, I was fascinated by it. I loved it. And I do still keep up with the wrestling news. But I think you were saying that wrestling is it's just generally accepted now rather than being this
Yeah,
odd
it's not frowned
thing
upon how it used to be. It's not the sweaty groping each other. Everyone's for that now.
I got told once that I was a nerd because I had a whiteboard. Does that count?
Have you got a laminator because that's, top nerd of stationery?
I have got a laminator.
Stationery king.
I haven't got a binder, a ring binder. Yeah, I've got a laminator though, for A4 only. So I'm open to other laminators.
All other sizes are for jokers. Don't worry about it.
Following this recording, we will send you a nice certificate and you can laminate it and put it on your binder.
I'll be
Thank you. It'll go right up behind me. Love that.
I'll send it in A3 though.
Perfect. Thank you. Cut it
just to
half.
spite you.
I know. So am I being bullied in replacement of Ben? Is that
Yeah.
is that what it is?
Yeah, we have to aim it at someone else because otherwise we're headed towards divorce. So
Yeah, once we aim it at each other.
So to get to know you a little bit better, we've asked you for your top 5 favourite nerdy things, I guess. So what are your top 5 best films?
Top 5 best films. So do we do it in reverse order, like the charts?
Yeah.
Number 5 was a film I saw it was a BAFTA short film night many years ago at Canterbury Uni, and it's called The Carmen Line. And it was about 25 minutes long. And at this point, I'd never seen short films. I didn't know there was a thing, but it had Olivia Colman in it. And it was really sad, but an incredible sort of concept. So am I allowed to do spoilers immediately on the on the show.
For a 25-minute film.
Yeah. So the idea is there's this family live together. Victoria Coleman is the mother, obviously, and she gets an illness that she's going to die from, basically. But the illness is she just gradually levitates higher and higher and higher until she reaches the part of space that's called the Kármán line.
No, I've not heard of that one, but Olivia Colman is one of those actresses that is just in things that you wouldn't imagine she was, but like before she was big.
Even when she's big, she pops up in The Bear, if you've watched The Bear.
Yeah.
I haven't.
It's brilliant. She's like a boss of the restaurant. Like it's the best restaurant in the city.
I've not seen that. Because this is bizarre because I know loads about you two because I listen to the podcast. So Harry, you used to work in run Weatherspoons, didn't you?
I was a kitchen manager, yeah.
Yeah. So
I made sure those microwaves were on point.
Yes.
And now he just does it in our home kitchen.
Just screaming at you.
Yeah. He's always
not far
my Cocoa Pops.
He's always stock rotating our cupboards.
Yeah. First in,
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Love that.
So what's your next choice?
A film called The Wrestler. So we touched on wrestling already, and it's Mickey Rourke.
Okay.
That's not that old, is it? I say that it's actually a little bit old now. I'm trying to think, maybe 15 years. Yeah. Oh God.
I've only seen it once, but it's always stuck with me. But I just remember it being, again, very dark and kind of, this wrestler is coming towards the end of his career. He gets told by the doctors that, he could end up dying in the ring because he's got, I think, something wrong with his heart. But it's all he knows. Wrestling is all he's ever done, and he feeds off of the crowd, and that's who he is. He prefers being the character that he is in the ring than his real life, because his real life is pretty sad. He's got sort of daughter that he doesn't really see that often. But yeah, so he goes to get a job in a supermarket, I think, and ends up having a massive row with his boss and things because he just wants to be a wrestler.
Not the
so he
sort
goes
of
back
person you have an argument with either, is it?
Just suplex you over the counter.
Yeah. Check out. Bang.
Yeah. But he goes back to being a wrestler, and the final scene is him jumping off the top rope, and then it just all goes black.
Oh.
It's beautiful, but upsetting. I like upsetting films.
I'm sensing
I just need to feel pain.
Yeah. My third choice is Dead Man's Shoes, a Shane Meadows film, and it's got Paddy Considine in it before he was sort of blowing up into a big star. And again, it's really dark and upsetting, and it's about a guy comes back from being in the army to take revenge on his brother's bullies. And it's a contrast of really beautifully shot. The soundtrack is sort of kind of gentle to contrast the brutality of the ex-soldier, the big brother who comes back to sort things out. And it's just really, really harsh and hard-hitting, and the way that he takes revenge is great. And there's some really good lines in it. And it's one of those films that you watch, I don't know if anyone else has had this in their life, but I've had it a lot. You watch the character in the film and think, God, I wish I was as hard as that.
That'd be me hiding behind the bin, calling the police.
Yeah, exactly. It's really good. Really horrible, but really good.
Okay. What's your second choice? Are you going a bit light-hearted as we go up, or are you?
It's changing it. It's changing it up a bit.
The boy in the striped pajamas.
Number 2 is Return of the King, the final Lord of the Rings film.
The final one.
Yeah, and I've only I would put them all in if I could. It's really, number 2 is the trilogy, because those films, and I always feel really weird saying this, but those films changed my life. I saw them when I was about, 24, I guess. It came at a time where, I don't know, this sounds really lame, but needed some direction and just a few lessons to how to be a better person, I think. And they sort of taught me more about relationships and friendships and how to just be a better person to other people. And The Return of the King is just the culmination of those films. So that's why I picked that one, because it's like the peak.
I mean, I think Lord of the Rings is a really nerdy thing to put in your top 5. People aren't just fans of Lord of the Rings, they live and they breathe that universe,
The Tolkienites.
Because you don't like it, do you, Harry, Lord of the Rings?
No, I love Lord of the Rings.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Best trilogy, hands down. I watched it, how old would I have been? 15, 16 when it came out. And I was just blown away, absolutely blown away. And at the time, internet wasn't really about. So, you couldn't get any spoilers or anything. So I love that as
Yeah.
well, because I was walking into each experience like it was fresh.
Okay, so on to your top films. The second film changed your life, so I'm keen to see what could top that.
It was Endgame. Endgame.
No way.
Yeah. Is that bad? I feel that I love it.
No.
I love it.
All opinions are valid, some more than others.
Endgame, just because, again, it was the culmination of a massive thing, wasn't it? It was like the end of a huge trial. And I first saw it when my family went away for a few days with the in-laws, and I was at home. I was like, right, what am I going to do for 3 or 4 days? Oh no, I'll go and buy the Avengers box set. So watch the four Avengers films.
That's not a cheap budget, so you're obviously doing great voice acting work.
I mean, yeah, especially 4 or 5 years ago. You know, but yeah, and I was just, obviously I missed out so much story in between and before, because I hadn't really watched the Marvel films before that. And I don't know, I was just blown away by it. And by the end of it, I was a blubbering wreck. It was so intense as well, because I watched those 4 films in 3 days.
The Infinity War, was you watching that for the first time as well?
Yes.
So you watched it, because Infinity War and Endgame are really one film, aren't they?
Yes. I've got a real sort of soft spot for the phrase, the band getting back together. So at the end where they're all there and man, it's just
the music's
exactly
going off, the orchestra's going off.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So good.
Shame that it's really fallen off since Endgame.
We haven't watched any since Endgame.
Leave it
You
there.
don't need to.
Leave it there.
Yeah.
Watch Spider-Man, actually. That was good.
Okay.
Leave it there.
Right.
Oh, that's harsh. That's harsh. So moving on to the nerdy list of games. What are your top 5 favourite games?
So I started playing computer games in, I don't know, the 80s, I think, which is going back. But number 5 is Sonic the Hedgehog on the Game Gear, the Sega Game Gear.
Have you just said that because you're trying to impress Harry?
No, the reason I
You
picked
kiss
it
ass.
is beginning. I'm so transparent. I picked it because I wanted to include something from my first ever computer, which is number 4, and number 5 was my first console. I'd really hoped for a Mega Drive because my friends had a Mega Drive, but I got the Game Gear instead and loved it. You know, I really enjoyed that. It just reminds me of a period of my life where me and my friends were starting to sort of hang out a bit more outside of school, and you know, computer games was part of that. We would go around each other's houses and play different video games, and that was my one, Sonic. I just remember, out of all the games I had on the Game Gear, because I had the Master System adapter for it as well.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one that I remember is Sonic. But and because at the time it was like, whoa, Sonic is the game for Sega at that time.
It translates well on the Game Gear as well, to be fair. Yeah, so number 4 would be...
Number 4 was on the Spectrum computer. So this is really going back, and it was called Target Renegade. And it was basically a fighting game, horizontal scrolling, would you call
like
it
a Streets
platform
of
game?
Rage sort of thing.
Yes, exactly like that. But yeah, it was probably 3 different colours, yellow, blue and black. But back in the days, it was incredible. You could do a punch, a flying kick and a back kick, I think.
What more do you need?
Exactly. But it was more about, again, a time in my life where, you know, all I'd ever known up till that point was games that you play, board games, wooden toys, you know, slate and chalk,
You're
abacus.
making it sound like you come from very far time.
The 1800s.
Yeah, it was all those sorts of things. But computers, when they first started coming out, you know, the first computer I had, you had to type in all the code to create the game, copying it out of magazines and things. And that was, my dad would do that, obviously. But yeah, Target Renegade was the game that I remember from the Spectrum that I just spent so many hours on it. But again, those days you couldn't save the game. So every time you would have to start from the beginning and try and beat it all the way through again. And I don't think I ever did.
No, they were designed not to be completed, to be fair, to keep
Were
you going. Well, I mean, they were obviously meant to be, but they made them very challenging so that you'd keep going back.
Yeah.
Have you played it since?
No, but I'm sure there's an emulator somewhere. Either it's probably online somewhere just to play it on a website or something.
Yeah, I reckon you probably just get it on your phone.
Oh, just going to make a note of that. Okay. Number 3, and I hope I don't get laughed at for this, but there is reasons, is Minecraft. There's a couple of reasons for this. The first one is when we first got it, my son was 3, I think, so I had to play it and he would just watch because he didn't understand the controls, I guess. But he had seen a video of it somewhere. I was like, can we get that? So I got it. And it meant I got to spend a lot of time just with my kid as he was sort of starting to be interested in things that I'm interested in as well. But every now and then, if I've had like a particularly sort of busy or stressful day at work, I will put it on in the evenings, because it's, even though you're thinking a lot about what you're building or what you have to go and mine and those sorts of things, it just switches my brain into a different place and I just forget everything from the day because I'm focused on Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
That is House Flipper for you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Interesting. It's funny what other people like, isn't it?
Hey, some people like stationery, some people like House Flipper.
Oh, man, I deserve that.
So we've had Minecraft. That was a nice little story with your son.
Yeah.
And have you got any more like that in number 2?
Well, actually, yeah, and it shows how much of a bad parent I am. It's Grand Theft Auto 5.
I was going to make a joke. It's for GTA.
Nice.
It really is. So the first reason is because it's just a great game, I think. It's the sort of thing you can just put on for 10, 15 minutes. If you want a quick blast of action, you can go around, crash some cars and blow things up and turn it off again, and it doesn't matter. But yeah, just quickly touching on the... he was probably 4, I think.
Oh, my Lord. And this is the corner where you get the prostitutes. It's okay, though, because if you kill them afterwards, you get your money back. It's all good.
It wasn't quite that bad. But he had to have eardrops because he had an ear infection, and he didn't like all kids, didn't want them. So I had to persuade him with letting him watch me play Grand Theft Auto whilst he's having his eardrops.
Is your son now in juvie, and the only communication you have with him is on nicely like worded letterhead that you've got in your stationery drawer?
Not quite, but I think it's a possibility. Yeah, I used to turn the sound off because of the swearing, but did let him used to watch the utter carnage of everything else. So,
I mean, Grand Theft Auto can be as violent as you want to make it, right? I mean, if you want to, you can just piss about doing the mini games, and it doesn't have to be get a rocket launcher and blow up as many police as you can. I mean, obviously that is the point of the game. But
he does love that, though.
I like the idea that you're playing it with the sound off and you're providing the voice acting to go with it.
using your expertise.
You, sir, I said good day.
Yeah.
You've stolen my car. Curse you. And then your favourite game?
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, the story is why it really pulled me in. There's parts of the game where the beginning is really drawn out and felt really slow, but the more you play the game, you realise it's an epic, isn't it? And that's the Wild West, I guess, is an epic saga sort of thing. The story was just heartbreaking.
I've not done it, but I know how it ends.
Yeah, the moment where, and hopefully some listeners will know this bit, but where he gets told that he's not going to make it, sort of thing, and he's riding back to camp on his horse, and this just devastating song comes on, and it's just like watching a film. Like, my girlfriend was there when this bit happened. She hadn't seen much of the game, and we were both just there like that, just open mouthed at this really harsh sort of sensation of this cool anti-hero guy not going to make it, even though he's a criminal, he kills people for fun, sort of thing. We're still bawling our eyes out that he's going to die. He's not even real. But I think that proves that how good the storytelling in that game was.
Well, I just think it goes to show as well, like the evolution of games. Like, one of your games was 3 blocks, red, yellow, and blue.
Yep.
And now you can play a game and it's, so advanced that it can have a narrative that's as good as a film.
Yeah, it's a form of media that stands up against all other forms of media now. And I think wrongly, there's still some people still sort of frown on video games as not being an equal to films or music or anything else.
I heard a mad stat, going on a bit of a tangent here, but if you took the music industry and the film industry, combined the money, the worth, and doubled it, it would still not equal what the video game industry is worth.
Really?
Which is insane.
That's mad.
There you go.
Okay, so on to your TV shows, I think, is our last one. So what have you got in number 5?
I changed it just now, live on air. Number 5 was going to be Game of Thrones,
Okay.
but
Then you remembered the last season.
yeah, and it just ruined it, right? So that's fallen down to number 27. So I switched it up for something that I realised wasn't in the top 5 in terms of style, and I went for Big Bang Theory because it's just fun. Every episode
I
was
can't stand it.
right.
I'm so sorry.
Closed meeting.
I cancelled the podcast.
But I think it ties in a bit with me wanting to be a nerd, and they were. How accurate is that for them being nerds? Are they really nerds in that?
I think they're an exaggerated version, which is why I don't like it.
Okay.
Do you recognise my cameo in it?
Your cameo in it? What? Tell me.
So the minute it came on, I've been constantly compared to Bernadette, is it?
Oh, okay.
And I used to have the exact same glasses frames as her.
And
so we looked identical. So that's why I've had to change my look. So, people don't recognise me in the streets.
It's becoming a problem.
I liked it.
Well, that's all that matters.
Well, each to their own.
Number 4 is an old show that was from when I was a kid. It's the A-Team. And I fucking loved that programme when I was little and I had all the toys. I have a strong sort of fondness for it for another reason, not just because it was really, I thought, I was a young kid, thought it was just cool, right? These guys always beating people up and getting out of scrapes using cauliflowers or whatever it was.
And blue tack and a plank of wood.
What can you fashion out? A tank?
Yeah. Every time.
Yeah. But my nan used to watch it.
So it is Nan approved.
Yeah.
Yes. My nan absolutely loved the A-Team. And so this is making me sound really old. So years after it finished on telly, I bought the VHS box set. Damn.
I bet that was massive.
Yeah, it was massive. But I lent it to my nan and she was so chuffed that she could watch the A-Team again. I did like the film. I was upset they didn't use the line at the end about the plan coming together, but it was good, but not as good as the original.
I've heard it's good fun. I've not seen it, but I've heard it's like good dumb fun.
Yeah, and some of the stunts they pull off on it are really, a spectacle. Number 3 is The Walking Dead. I loved it. It was just hot. Well, kind of like horror. I know it wasn't as horror as some horror films, but it was cool. It was zombies, and
it didn't pull punches, right?
Yeah, the whole Negan bit with the baseball bat and Glenn and the other guy,
Abraham.
That's it. Yeah, and yeah, there was some proper jaw-dropping moments.
So how much of a Walking Dead fan are you? Did you watch the entirety of this series? Do you watch the Fear of the Walking Dead and everything like that?
So I watched all of the seasons of The Walking Dead. Haven't watched anything else. I don't want to spoil it by watching something else that doesn't live up to what I remember The Walking Dead being.
Just going to dilute the product.
Yeah. I was hoping
being a mega nerd, I read it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I had some of the graphic novels as well.
Hey, good.
Yeah.
Really good. I'd thoroughly recommend that to anyone.
Because it differs in places, doesn't it, throughout?
Yeah, like a lot of similarities.
Yep.
But no, there is a lot that's different, to be fair.
Good choice. On to your next one.
So the next one is Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, okay.
The Motor Boys.
Yeah, and that's why, because when I was younger, I wanted a motorbike. And
do you have one?
I haven't. No, I'm not allowed now that we've got kids.
I've got a scooter and I make the noise.
I've got a push bike with stabilizers and that's it.
But if you put a bank card on the back of your tyre, it'll make the same sort of noise.
Yeah, exactly. But it was that whole thing, like I said, about Endgame, about, the feeling of a team or a band, like a group doing something together, and seeing the guys on their motorbikes with their what they call cuts, the leather jackets with the emblem on the back for their club. There's something about that is just amazing. If you see that in real life as well, a motorbike gang driving past you on the motorway, oh, love it. I'm scared, but I love it.
Yeah, I just steer right.
Yeah.
See how many I can get.
Wow.
Not really, obviously.
And then Harry ended up in prison and Martin will write to you on his fancy letterhead stationery.
But I'll laminate it so the ink doesn't rub off.
Yeah, so it's wipeable.
What am I going to do to it?
Damn.
Moving rapidly on, your top choice.
My top choice is The Punisher.
Oh, Daredevil's Punisher.
Yes. Daredevil was what introduced me, because he was in that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was like he's not really a villain, but he's definitely not a good guy. Anti-hero?
Yes, I think so. He's sort of a wrestling term, a tweener. He's in between the good and the bad.
I've not heard that before.
Yeah, tweener. That's a proper nerd word then, isn't it, I think?
I haven't seen Punisher. I've seen Daredevil season 1, 2 and 3. I loved it. And I've always thought, I'll catch up with Punisher. I will. And all my friends say it's really good.
It's another one of those things that I've seen that it's like there's two sides to it. So it's really fucking hard hitting sort of thing, brutal, but also high emotion as well because of the backstory of the character, like why he's like he is and why he's
got a
doing
cause. He's not just done it, not woke up.
Yeah.
Ran out of milk and done this.
And and it's just like there's some really sort of emotional bits in it where you're thinking, oh, poor guy, that's why he gouged that man's eyes out.
And he probably deserved it.
Yeah.
What's her name? Is it Karen? Daredevil's assistant, secretary lady.
Does she complain a lot?
Managers everywhere are scared, running for their lives. Not of the Punisher.
Just a Karen.
Yeah, she's in it. She appears in it.
Okay. Well, thanks for taking us through all of your choices.
Nice.
On that lovely note, I'd say, chaps, let's get on with the film review.
Let's get on with the review.
Let's get on with the review.
This week we'll be reviewing Toy Story. So I've gone on and looked for a very quick synopsis, but you all know and love Toy Story, I presume. So this is the shortest synopsis I could find.
It's a story about toys.
Done. A cowboy doll is profoundly threatened and jealous when a new spaceman action figure supplants him as top toy in a boy's bedroom. Sounds a bit sinister.
It does, doesn't it?
Toy Story was the first ever Disney Pixar full feature-length film and the first entirely computer-generated animation. It was directed by John Lasseter, it stars Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, and it was co-written by, and I saw this in the credits when it came up, Joss Whedon.
I saw that.
Of Buffy the Vampire fame.
Or the Avengers.
Or the Avengers fame. On a budget of, what do you think? What do you think the film's budget was?
Oh, this was back in the days when you could make a film on a dime.
It's 30 years old this year.
Oh, God, that makes me feel sick.
Yeah.
I'm going to say...
A dime?
A dime, maybe two. I'm going to say 35 million.
See, that sounds a lot for the year that it came out. There was something where this nearly broke Pixar or something, didn't it? If this hadn't have worked, that would have been it. Pixar wouldn't have carried on. Yeah.
Find out more in the trivia.
Yeah. Using better words than what I did.
I'll use your exact words.
I don't know.
I've got them laminated in front of me.
Wish I'd never said that. 50 million.
50 million. So the budget was 30 million.
That's not a bad guess.
Not a bad guess.
Nice.
But how much do you think it grossed box office worldwide?
God. I reckon it was a huge hit. I reckon it was like 280 million.
500 million.
Oh,
half a
go
billion.
Big.
Yeah.
Go big or go home. It was 365 million, but it made it the highest grossing movie of 1995.
Wow. That's awesome.
So, and obviously it spawned, what now, 4 films?
4 films, the Buzz Lightyear spin-off, and they've announced the next one.
The next what?
You've just got to milk that franchise dry. Next Toy Story.
Really? Toy Story 5?
I mean, what are they doing? Be Andy's funeral, and they'll be there like, oh my God.
He'll be buried with Woody.
Yeah.
We're going to go into this review with no spoilers because we presume that everyone listening has seen it, as it's a much loved film.
Oh.
So we go straight into Toy Story. You get to see all of the toys in Andy's bedroom. Woody is the top toy. He sleeps in Andy's bed, not questioning that. And they're all prepared for Andy's birthday party where they may or may not get a new toy. And obviously we see Buzz. So what did you think of the toys in the room? Because this was a 1995 film. Like, did you have similar toys around this age? Or like what toys would have been in your bedrooms?
I'll let you take this one, Mitch.
Martin.
Well, I had...
He sounds just like our editor.
It does sound like Mitch. It's very off-putting.
It's just throwing me off.
one of the first toys, it was one of the first ever laminators. And I was thinking about the types of toy last night, and one thing I noticed was there was some toys that were real, like with genuine toys from the real world, like Mr. Potato Head and the binocular things and the Slinky dog. But then obviously you had Woody and Buzz, which didn't exist until Pixar, but now they've sold billions of pounds worth of those toys. So they invented toys in a film that then became toys.
Yeah, it's like Toyception. I didn't pick up on this until watching it this time round as an adult, but I just felt like Woody, what a prick.
You think Woody's a prick?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I don't know if it's just me, but I thought he was like really annoying.
Is it because like Buzz is just basically a child who's just like, yeah, I just need to fix my ship because I'm a bit special and I just need a guiding hand, and Woody's like, how about I throw you out the window?
Yeah. I think Woody's just really a bit of a narcissist, to be honest, and he's a bit spiteful.
Yeah, but that's part of the growth of the character, isn't it?
I do see what you're saying with that. I think it's a little bit harsh because obviously his world changes when Buzz comes along, and he's just grown into that mold of I'm Andy's favourite toy and have always been and always will be. And then something comes in and completely ruins that for him. But saying that, he does do the bad thing. He does intend to do something bad. It just so happens that it's luck that something much worse happens and he goes flying out the window. He did intend to hide him down behind the chest of drawers. So he was going to be an arsehole.
Andy would have found him.
What toys did you have in your bedroom? Need I ask? Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, obviously a Mega Drive would have been top billing, but actual toys. I had lots of the Army Men soldiers.
Army Men, yeah.
Yeah, used to have them. Used to set them up. Me and my brother used to have them with marbles, and we'd like bash them across the floor and try and knock them over. Also, I remember they're not around now, but the trolls.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Trolls are around, but they've had a rebrand and they're very different now. But that ugly, hideous, dead behind the eyes sort of troll. Yeah. And obviously the
Before
Etch-a-Sketch.
they glow up.
Yeah.
Oh, I had the Etch-a-Sketch.
Before their Brat Summer. Yeah. The Etch-a-Sketch as well, which is impossible, but I might add.
Yeah. I was shit at that Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah. I would have such good ideas, and then you look at it like, but why doesn't mine look like that?
Yeah. It'd take fucking ages to do anything on it as well.
If you cough or anything, it shakes and you've lost it.
I had some of the monkeys that hung down and sort of hooked onto each other. I had some of those.
Barrel.
Yeah. As the lady on this podcast, my toys were slightly different to what you guys and Andy would have had. So, I would have had like Polly Pockets. Remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I had loads.
I was going to say, you really remembered that, didn't you, Harry? It was like, yeah. Polly Pockets.
Still got them.
The bit that really also disturbed me is they go to try and find out what toy Andy's getting for his birthday, and the Army Men go down with a walkie-talkie, and it's this big covert operation. Andy's mum maims a soldier.
Doesn't she
put
just?
That out there.
Yeah, but you don't see anyone sort of react to it. She just crushes him.
Yeah,
and then that's it. They get brushed
off.
aside.
Yeah, he's on disability benefit for the next 20 years. PTSD.
Great parking, though.
There was something that happened with the soldiers when they went down that made me think like the small details in the film were like incredible. So they're hiding in a plant watching the presents sort of get unwrapped. And there's a little name tag of the plant, and it says Forest Fantasy is the name of the plant.
Ooh.
And when you see the soldiers in that plant, it looks like they're in a forest. Sort of thing. I thought that was a really sort of clever little touch.
I didn't notice that.
Speaking of the smaller details, do you find it weird that Buzz at no point acknowledges he's a toy, but every time Andy comes into the room, he drops down like a toy?
Ooh, I didn't twig that. Is that because that's what all the others do, though, and he doesn't want to get caught out?
I don't know.
Because his character probably wouldn't worry about that, would it? Because he
doesn't think he's a toy up until much later in the film.
Maybe he's just so enamoured by Andy. He's just like, oh, my hero. Ah.
He rode on my foot. My favourite foot.
I really like the detail of the backdrop as well. So when they're in the living room, I noticed there are like scuff marks on the wall and the doors and stuff.
I don't want to shit talk a film that's nearly 30 years old, obviously, but you can tell like it was the first big film, can't you? Some of the textures are better than others. Like it's very basic, isn't it?
What textures are better than others?
Well, so like, in the going forward a little bit here, but in the pizza place, when the little squeaky toys, the claw,
that was good.
They are like just one shade of green. and then below their chin is a second shade of green to try and give it shading, and their mouths all just kind of move. You can tell they've just edited it to just kind of go towards each other and then just bounce out. There's no lip movement. It's just it looks very jarring, but I appreciate it was the first of its kind.
There was a couple of parts where when his family was sort of walking around in the party, it really reminded me of The Sims. I thought it looked like someone was playing The Sims.
Bit weird, gangly.
Yeah,
agreed.
Not quite.
Some of them are a bit uncanny valley, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. You're kind of ruining it for me now because I really enjoyed it.
I'm so sorry. Well, I was going to ask you, obviously, voice actor. Do you think this would have been challenging? Because obviously before this, it would have all been 2D animation work.
Yep.
Is there any difference, do you think? Because obviously it's a bit more lively in the 3D animation. There's a bit more buoyancy.
Yeah, it's the job of the voice actor to get that across in the voice. So regardless of, I guess, obviously they have to match it up with the action that's happening on screen. But I was trying, because I was wondering whether the question about this might come, and I was trying to watch everything about how the voice links up with the characters last night. And there was a few times where Tom Hanks, and actually I don't see it as Tom Hanks playing Woody. That is Woody to me now. It's just, I kind of forget that it's Tom Hanks doing it. Woody is a real thing to me. And there was a couple of points where Tom Hanks was going for it, shall we say, and the character on screen wasn't quite matching that energy, if that makes sense. So he was going too far for what was happening on screen. But now if you're saying, in the later ones there was more going on, then it probably makes more sense. But yeah, I thought the voice acting overall was excellent. And it would be in something that big, and they would keep going until it was right, spot on. The only thing about it, so is Sid's voice, the kid next door. I just could not stand his voice. But is that a good thing? Because he's meant to be someone that you don't like, right?
He is a shit.
Like you say, you're not meant to like him, but we get an early introduction to him at this point where you see him strapping a rocket to a toy in the backyard. I feel like we've all lived next door to families like this where you're like, oh God, they're outside blowing shit up again. For fuck's sake.
We had a family next to us there was bottles being smashed in their garden. All the broken glass would come over our garden, and we just had to stop going outside for a while.
Jesus Christ.
It was horrible.
But, could you imagine being a toy and watching your comrade being blown up? I mean, that'd be like watching, because they're alive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In their head, that's like their flesh and blood being blown up. Yeah.
And that's something that's really nice. I think there's a lot of parts where they're trying to force you to realise the perspective of a toy. Like the one line that stood out for me was when Buzz and Woody are fighting underneath the car, and it drives off, and they're left on the garage forecourt, petrol station. We're English, aren't we? Petrol station forecourt. And he shouts, "I'm lost." Then he says, "I'm a lost toy." And then it made me think back of times that I lost toys when I was a kid, and how horrible it was. But to be the toy who is lost was flipping that perspective, and I thought that was really nicely done.
Yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking, isn't it, when you think about it like that? But what would they have done if they couldn't get to the pizza place?
I think they'd just leave a questionable lifestyle, going from truck to truck.
Oh, okay.
Truck stop to truck stop, yeah. Did you notice, this is going back to the small details, did you notice that the pizza truck they ended up getting on had underneath, I can't remember if it was on the tyre or one of the mud flaps, had Dynaco written on it, which is from Cars, is one of the racing teams. I
didn't know that.
I didn't know. You really looked at the granular detail.
I made like 6 pages of notes. I've never watched it in that detail before, but I knew that this was
coming. You must have picked up on, it's obviously further on, but Al's Barn from Toy Story 2 makes an appearance. Obviously, it's just a little short ad, isn't it, on the TV?
When Buzz is having his realisation he's a toy.
He's an existential crisis.
But we go with him to the pizza place, and obviously that's, as we already mentioned, they're in their crane with all the aliens and things like that.
Yeah.
And say what you want about Sid, but he's really talented at crane games.
Yeah, he has 2 wins straight in a row, and that is unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
So by a series of bad events, they end up with Sid in his house. So we've already kind of mentioned Sid, but I mean, we're all thinking the same thing, right?
Serial killer.
Yeah. He has a poster on his wall saying, "I love explosions." He has about 6 locks on the back of his door. I just think, one day he's going to wake up and kill his parents.
Ooh.
Oh, definitely. I mean, if he was around when the internet was around, he's being converted. 100%.
Yeah, but you never see his parents, do you? So,
You hear the mum.
do you?
Yeah, he goes, "Where's the matches?"
And does she tell him?
And I don't know if she responds, but he goes, "Oh, don't worry, I've got them."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not great parenting, I don't think.
No, let's not mention GTA 5 again.
Yeah.
I thought there was some really good bits in that bedroom. The whole like horror sequence where all the sort of mutant toys are coming out. Woody's got the torch, it's very dark in there, and the sort of baby head spider thing, its head spins round, and
That was terrifying when I was a child.
yeah, it's quite a lot for what is, for all intents and purposes, a kid's film.
But they must know what they look like. Why do they come out doing that?
What do you
Well, we find out later that they're actually quite friendly.
Yeah.
But if you come out and start spinning your head,
Yeah.
questions are going to be asked.
You need to make a statement, though, don't you? Like,
Let them know his boss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might have been top toy over there, mate, in the nice house.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they thought Woody was a threat. Very gangly, isn't he, Woody?
He is very gangly, and like I say, he's a bit of a prick. So maybe they just picked
They just
up
didn't
on
like him, yeah.
They picked up on the vibe, the energy. Prick
Yeah,
energy.
because they help Buzz straight away. They fix his arm for him. But they scare the shit out of Woody.
Yeah. And a moment that still lives with me today is when Buzz is having tea, when his sister gets hold of him and he's wearing the apron and the hat, and he's having a little afternoon tea, and she's saying, "Tea, Mrs. Nesbit." And I still to this day will say that when someone's making a cup of tea.
That's awesome. I really like that bit where he's kind of acting drunk, isn't he, in that bit as well. I thought that was really, really nice.
He's like, "I think you've had enough of this."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you I've had enough.
It's bits like that, though, that make me sort of think, I really laughed at that bit. I thought it was great, but how is he, because there was obviously nothing in that cup. So how is he having the effect of being wasted? Does it matter?
Yeah, I think it's good writing, isn't it? Because that's your classic, well, almost call it like Shrek humour, where it's a kid's film, but it's like a little wink to the adult audience. Like, I wouldn't have got that as a kid.
Yeah.
Literally, I would just be like, he's acting funny. Same with, is it Bo Peep and Woody's clearly sexually active relationship.
What I wasn't sure of, and this is
Only toys. Sorry.
wow.
Only toys. If someone hasn't thought that up, that is a genius idea right here.
Man, I'm going to stay awake all night now.
Creating the Only Toys website.
We have a new business venture, guys.
I wonder whether it's because of the era that it was written in, but because it starts off and there's obviously a thing with Woody and Bo Peep, but as soon as Buzz comes along and does his thing, like Bo Peep sort of walks off after him, fanning her face sort of thing. I'm like, would she turn that quickly if she had a thing with Woody? It just made me feel a bit uneasy.
You can't trust us women. Any new man comes along, that's what we do.
Swoon.
That's what my girlfriend keeps telling her 5 husbands.
Yeah, especially if the guy has a great wingspan. We mentioned the toys that Sid has under his bed, and they're all kind of,
Frankenstein's.
Yeah. There was one in particular that Woody calls Roller Bob for the guy that's got just his torso on a skateboard. And
Yes.
I'm just going to put it out there that seems really offensive to me.
Rollerbob didn't seem to mind, though.
So are you suggesting that he just made that whole name up, Roller Bob,
Roller Bob.
without knowing what his actual name was?
He's there like, "My name's Greg. Why is everyone calling me Rollerbob now?"
Right, come on, Roller Bob.
Don't you think Woody needs better friends? I know he's a bit of a prick, but you know the point where he's in Sid's and he's like, I'm here, and they're like, "Oh my God, they're here." And Miss Potato Head's like, "Hang on a fucking minute. I don't want to hear this guy out. He's a prick. Come on, mate." And they all are like, "Actually, Miss Potato Head, he's got a point here." They immediately turn on him. He's been like their leader and best friend for years.
That I noticed that from quite near the beginning. As soon as Buzz turned up, they were all fawning over Buzz and mocking Woody quite badly during that period. not even considering his feelings. He was,
It's no wonder he turned.
yeah.
I'd do the same. I would hide bits of him just to wind him up. When he's asleep, I'd like just put a shoe somewhere. And he's waking up. He's like, "Where the fuck is my left foot?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
Would he just take his ear and whisper to him in the middle of the night?
Well, that'd be good as well.
I don't know whether you caught it, but there was a bit where I can't remember who was arguing with Mr. Potato Head, but he'd taken his lips off and was touching his bum with it.
What? I did not notice that.
Yeah, kiss my ass. And I thought that's a really clever little joke that kids won't understand until a bit later. And it was like you was talking about the hints to the parents sort of thing.
So they reveal themselves to Sid, who now presumably is scarred for life.
Oh yeah, he's not coming back from that because no therapist is believing the toy spoke to me and threatened me.
He's now on heavy medication for the rest of his life.
The best bit from that part, I think, was where Woody switched from his sort of, I don't know what you call it, the voice inside his toy body to come alive right at the end. The transition was spot on, I thought. Yeah, and the face changed.
He's using the pull string voice, isn't he? And then he does the 360 with the head.
I thought that was a nice hint towards the baby doing that. He was sort of giving them a nod as if, say, I remember them sort of thing. And they're kind of friends now, even though they do bugger off through the fence pretty quickly after they've helped them escape. Yeah, I thought that was a bit of an abrupt ending of that partnership between the mutant toys and Woody.
Yeah, it was dumb, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was very much like, see you later. Yeah, bye. Yeah, so they finally run to catch up with the moving van and get back to Andy and his mum. First immediate thought was, why is there nothing in the moving van?
It was like 6 boxes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
One of them being Andy's toys.
Yeah.
I saw that, but didn't think anything of it. And there wasn't anything in the car either, was there? Or one box, I think, wasn't there, on the back seat?
Well, I'm going to steal your joke here, but terrific bit of gaslighting there, isn't it?
How dare you?
I know. But like, he would have known that box was empty. He would have known it.
Yeah.
He'd have looked at that box all the time. And then out of nowhere, they're there.
Yeah, so really this film is quite traumatizing because you've got Sid on medication for the rest of his life because he's seen toys like walk and talk, and then Andy's there going, no, I swear to God, they weren't there. They weren't there.
All the kids are messed up in this film.
Yeah.
Have you seen the pictures and videos of people having their own Buzz and Woody on the back of their cars? I think you can get like a figure that you hook on the back of your car and stuff.
Haven't seen that. Now I want it.
Yeah. I used to always love as a kid the end scene, when on the car, and I was always like, yeah, so close, they're so close. And when they failed, because I saw this at cinema, when the batteries run out and you're like, use the rocket. And when it does it, I just remember being like so excited as a kid. And I got the Toy Story Mega Drive game as a present, and the last level is that. Oh. And yeah, it was so good. I bet if you played it now, shit.
That whole section, my notes say, one of the greatest end sequences of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time. Like, I must have watched the Toy Story films over Christmas with my kids, all of them, I don't know, 4 or 5 times each. And that end bit where, the whole sequence from in the back garden where they're giving Sid the lesson till, the sort of the end of the film is just incredible, like emotionally. And I was sitting there with my family watching it, and there's me sort of getting really excited. And my kids are just like this. No emotion whatsoever. But
where's GTA? I want GTA.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a patch on that. But the bit that gets me every time, and it genuinely gives me tingles, is I'm so sort of sucked into the story and them sort of coming together as a good friendship in the end, is where the rocket is lit and they start to take off. At that moment, my hairs stand on end, and I'm there, man. It's so nice, that bit. Just I can't get enough of that bit. It's spine-tinglingly good. I'm a voiceover artist, don't you know?
Anyone looking for...
Just don't put that word in the script. Because it's the beginning of like the full circle moment when they go up and Woody says, Buzz, you're flying. And it's like hinting back to when they had that conversation at the beginning. And Buzz says, no, I'm just falling with style, which is what Woody had said about him. So it's like Woody now believes in Buzz as, you know, more than just a toy, but Buzz also is believing what Woody has told him, you know, so it's that they've switched roles almost, and they're, you know, the friendship is cemented at that point, I think.
And I think you can see, as much as Woody has a character arc, so does Buzz. And not going to talk too much about the sequels, but obviously he bumps into Buzz dolls, doesn't he, in Toy Story 2? And they're all like, but we need to talk to Star Command, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, Jesus Christ, was I this naive? I think that's really funny that it's like a little callback to how he was.
I mean, when he finds out he's not, he is a toy, and he rips off sticker from his arm and things like that, I found that quite heartbreaking to see his whole world has fallen apart. That's all he knew and loved.
It's like, I'm okay. Just a little depressed.
Yeah.
So on that note, I guess it is time to give it, or not give it, Nan approval. Martin, as our guest, what did you think about this film overall, and would you give it approval?
Love it. I love the film. And like I said, that whole sequence at the end, and I don't know why it's not in my top 5. Can we re-record this another time?
That again.
But yeah, it's just such a nice thing. And then when you think about the bigger picture, like how much Pixar has done since then, and how it might not have happened if this had flopped. I mean, it was never going to flop because it's really great. But yeah, it's absolutely approved.
Harry?
Yeah, rightly so. You don't have Pixar without this. And I don't think it's just a great film. I think it's a great series as well. I mean, when they announced the 4th one, I was like, why ruin a great trilogy? And then the 4th one's really good. So yeah, I can't fault it, apart from it being a little bit aged. But I don't think you can pick holes at that.
Would you be upset if they re-released it with newer graphics?
That would spark rants.
Do you think?
Yeah, leave it.
But you love up-to-date graphics on 4K.
Yes, on newer films.
If I keep poking you, will this turn into a rant of the week?
Do it.
Well, you've both approved it for me, but I would have approved it as well. I think this film has become just a bit iconic, hasn't it? So like you were saying earlier, Woody is Woody. He is Tom Hanks and will forever be. And Tim Allen the same on Buzz. Like they're just synonymous, and it works really well. And the detail that went into it for the time is just amazing. So yeah, fully Nan approved. Watch this film with your Nan.
But also watch the A-Team with your Nan as well.
But more importantly.
Yeah. Okay, so on to some trivia then.
Toy trivia.
So we've kind of already referenced it, but the animation studio that made this film was originally called the Graphics Group, which was a subsection of Lucasfilm, of Star Wars fame. In 1986, they were purchased by Steve Jobs, and they began making little animated shorts, including Luxo Jr., which was the Oscar-nominated Lamp film, if you remember that.
Oh, is that what the lamp's from?
That's what the lamp's from.
Love that lamp.
It's such a personable lamp.
Have you got a lamp, Harry?
I've got a Millennium Falcon lamp.
Have you?
Yeah, because I'm an adult.
In the early 90s, they were really struggling and they made loads of layoffs. So Steve Jobs made a deal with Disney to produce 3 CGI animated films, and the first was Toy Story. So huge success, and as Martin said earlier, saved Disney Pixar, essentially. And because...
What were the other 2?
Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So this, as I said at the start, this was the first completely computer-generated film. So it had 300 computers that were used to render the final movie.
That's crazy.
Which required 800,000 machine hours.
Whoa.
Enter applause here.
Thank you. Impressive. But none of them were nominated for an Oscar. I'll tell you who was nominated for an Oscar. The director, John Lasseter. For the development and inspired application of techniques that have made possible the first feature-length computer animated film.
Was best special effects not a thing back then? What would have pipped that?
Very good point. As I thought, Woody was initially perceived as too much of a jerk, so the character was actually rewritten and scenes were changed to make him more of a well-intentioned character who's extremely jealous rather than a complete prick, in my words.
So there is essence of
here
prick.
first.
Is
Tom
what
Hanks,
we're saying.
big prick.
Yeah, there is essence of prick. Tom Hanks.
You said it, mate, not me.
Buzz Lightyear's original name was Lunar Larry.
Oh, that shit.
That is
I love
awful.
it.
Lunar Larry.
Lunar.
Oh,
And then they obviously changed it to honour Buzz Aldrin, whom I'm sure we've all heard of.
No.
Okay. Something to do with the moon.
Okay. He lives on the moon.
He lives on the moon, yeah.
Thank you.
As we said at the start, Andy's toys were inspired by real toys. So Mr. Potato Head was a real toy made by Hasbro, and Slinky Dog was a popular toy in the 1950s, and we named some others as well at the time. Who I don't know whether any of those still exist. Do you think you get a Mr. Potato Head now?
Yeah, probably. It's probably an app on your phone.
Well, you do now because of Toy Story, I'm guessing.
Yeah, true.
But maybe the monkeys didn't make it.
I want to see the alternate version when the lights go off and it goes to the mum's room. See what toys come out to play then.
You okay? Jesus.
Although not with those textures.
He's really got only toys on the brain now, isn't he?
Yeah. And is that the first content in Only Toys? Andy's mum.
Andy's mum. Watch out for Buzz.
And ham. I don't know what that means.
Very good. Okay, moving on. And my last bit of trivia is Sid Phillips is said to be inspired by a former Pixar employee of the same last name.
His name is Phillips.
Sid Phillips, that's his full name.
Psycho killer.
Yeah.
Well, he says it, doesn't he?
Name.
When he starts talking to me, he calls him Sid Phillips.
Such a nice name. He sounds like such a nice boy.
Oh, Sid Phillips, up road.
Yeah.
I went a bit northern then.
He likes to skateboard and drink milk.
Such a lovely boy. And then I was quite concerned when I read that fact, thinking, oh my God, maybe that could have been the end of Disney Pixar. Sid came to work one day in a bad mood. But he was named after him because the real Sid was known to disassemble toys and use the parts to build bizarre creations.
I didn't know that.
So there you go. Well, then all that remains is to say thank you again, Martin, for coming on this podcast. We hope that our editor Mitch really enjoys this one.
I think I love it.
Think you might enjoy it.
Well, I had fun. Thank you very much for having me. It was awesome.
You're most welcome. So we've been building up all the toys, and now we're going to knock them back down. I'm trying to do a Ben.
Oh, okay.
Didn't work, did it?
We've assembled this podcast, and it's time to put it away.
Nice.
Something like that.
That'll do.
Does that work?
That works. So, we've been Nerds Against Normality. Thanks for listening. Catch all of our latest episodes every Wednesday wherever you get your podcasts from. Please follow, rate, like us on social media for more exclusive content and to see the text message that Ben sent, which was the reason why he couldn't join us on this episode. If you have a question, something you want us to review, please email us at nanpodcast@outlook.com. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See you next week.
Goodbye.